Our debate topic is the problems with anonymizers. Here we're going to talk about the societal issues, the ethical issues, and what ethical theories we can apply to determine that anonymizers are unethical and should not be allowed. So to start off, to introduce our topic, an anonymizer is a software tool that is intended to make your actions on the internet anonymous and untraceable. And essentially it does this by acting as a barrier between the user's computer and the rest of the internet. And anonymizers generally hide the user's identity, location, browsing history, and any other personal information. It's used mostly to minimize the risk of identity theft, bypass censorship, prevent targeted information such as custom ads on YouTube, Amazon, etc., and to avoid detection by law enforcement. I also have a few examples of anonymizers listed.
For societal issues, anonymizer providers are able to store information that may not be warranted by users of the privacy, such as your IP address or internet traffic. Such information could then be sold to a third-party company. So, for example, there was this pretty famous case in where this UK-based company called Hide My Ass handed over information of this hacker that hacked into Sony Pictures Entertainment Systems, and he released thousands of personal accounts information, and that company ended up having to give up information to the government. So privacy isn't always guaranteed. Um, Anonymizers also a very common way to mask illegal activities like kidnapping or human trafficking. So places like the dark web, for example, are just like breeding grounds for people who want to commit these acts. Um, Also, anyone is able to make a statement and at the same time not hold responsibility for their online actions or statements. And also, anonymizers allow users to illegally download music without fear of repercussions from the government. So you could literally steal music from artists and not have to pay any penalties for it, which is just essentially robbing without having any criminal activity being labeled on your actions.
Is a major ethical issue. People commit horrible crimes and use the internet to facilitate their horrible actions. Only make this easier. Easily, if people can remain untraceable online. When we talk about crime, it can mean all sorts of things. Online can allow people to trick others into gaining money and information. People say terrible things and post malicious statements, harassing others, consequences, and backlash from the public if they stay anonymous. Anonymizers can promote black market activity and horrible crimes such as human trafficking. Privacy, but the result is a cover for criminal activity online. Internet, by hiding the client user's computer information, creates a cover for crime to occur. To be held accountable for their actions online. Prevent this.
Anonymizers also limit the options and tools for law enforcement to investigate the cyber crimes. They present an added layer of challenges for law enforcement agencies and limit their options when it comes to investigating the cyber crimes. As a result, we have seen increase of serious illegal activities online that actually end up hurting communities offline as well. Anonymizers also make it harder to prosecute these criminals. They can make evidence invisible and therefore accountability unreachable for prosecutors, who will have a much harder time proving their cases against these criminals. Cyber crimes and other illegal activities can't be tracked as effectively when the use of anonymizers is present. They also make it harder to enforce company policies and analyze the risk of violating confidentiality and integrity in a network infrastructure, which affects customers a lot more than anyone else. And hackers have also been using anonymizers to take advantage of company networks in order to commit their cyber crimes. At the end of the day, it is undeniable that anonymizers are a tool that is being exploited by cyber criminals. As long as we continue to provide this type of tools to them, members of our society will fall victims to their crimes.
So, applying ethical theories to anonymizers. First one is utilitarianism, which is, in this case, the marginal benefit of obtaining slightly more privacy for the few users who use an anonymizer is not worth the downsides of allowing criminal activity to occur on the internet. Overall, there's a loss in utility due to anonymizers. So in this case, let's say if there's a bunch of criminal activity that's happening, do we value the uh, amount of negative moral criminal activity versus the privacy of a few individuals, and do we see which one weighs? And typically speaking, since there are a lot of criminal activity that happen online, one can make the argument that it's not worth the privacy, and it's much better to allow these people to be seen in the public. And for Kantianism, the average internet user does not use an anonymizer, and the most common use is to illegally steal content on the internet. Users of anonymizers generally have unethical intentions when using anonymizer. So in the case that I made before, when you're illegally downloading music, your intention of illegally downloading music isn't something that's morally justifiable. It's just to simply skip on paying the artist and saving money for yourself. And you'd rather do that than sacrificing a few of your dollars to pay for what the artist did. So it's deemed to be morally unjustifiable, and so under Kantianism as well, it's not correct to do so.
All right. To conclude, anonymizers can protect our privacy, but are not worth the risk that we take by allowing them to exist. Anonymizers can provide a false sense of privacy and risk your privacy even more than without one. Potentially if the anonymizer uses your data. They promote illegal activity online without any repercussions. They limit the abilities of law enforcement to track down criminals using your internet. And it removes accountability from the internet. And without anonymizers, criminal or terrorist groups can carry significant risk conducting their operations on the internet. But currently with anonymizers, they are able to do that with very little risk, and we shouldn't be giving criminals any more advantage than they already have. And that is our debate.